If you're always bloated, if your skin's a mess, if your hair is fragile, if your nails are super brittle, like the easiest thing to kind of look at and the first thing to focus on because it is so foundational is, are you eating enough calories? And so it's just good to like track your food for a week and kind of see where your calories are, because a lot of these symptoms that come from under eating are just like linked to so many things that there's never going to be a guarantee, and they could be, you could be under eating, you could be overeating, whatever. But it's like that's what if your metabolism doesn't have calories, it's not going to do its jobs. It doesn't matter what else you're doing. And so, hey team, welcome back to another episode of The Wellness Effect. We've missed you. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the one and only reverse diet, something that a lot of us probably need to do and have resisted to do. And so we hope in this episode that you guys can kind of understand what a reverse diet even is, how to know if you need it, and how to implement it for yourself if you want to try to do it, because it is super beneficial. And we're just going to kind of get into it today and skip our lovely what we've been up to this week, because for being completely honest, we recorded back to batch some content for you guys. So you
Yeah.
already know what happened. Um, but yeah, reverse dieting is just, it's honestly exactly what it sounds like. It's the opposite of what you would do in a traditional diet. So in a traditional diet, the goal is to lose fat. So you put yourself into a calorie deficit slowly, gradually over time, getting lower and lower until you reach your goal weight or you reach a plateau or whatever. So a reverse diet is you're doing the opposite of that. So you're taking what you're eating now on a daily basis and then slowly increasing your calories over time. And if you do this in a controlled manner, then it is much easier for your metabolism to upregulate and kind of keep up with those extra calories. And so you should notice less fat gain compared to if you were just to go from eating 1,500 calories to 2,000 calories overnight, then you'll probably experience more fat gain. So when you do it in this controlled way, is just a really great way to get your metabolism up to speed and for your body to start working properly, because a lot of women in today's world tend to undereat and it's not serving us. So I don't know if you guys want to kind of add anything to the intro or.
Yeah, I would just say it's so common, but is not talked about because it seems kind of confusing when you first hear about it. Like, oh, wow, I'm eating more and my goal is to lose fat. But 9 times out of 10, when we have women that come and work with us and we've dealt with this in our own, it's more common outside of the bodybuilding, but I would say it started off as very common in the bodybuilding world, which is where Lacey and I think, kind of both got introduced to it. But the science behind it and the reasoning behind it applies to everyone. So if you're coming in and you've been trying to lose fat and yo yo dieting your whole life and you're 50, 40, 60 years old, your metabolism is now going to be downregulated. And so a lot of the times what we think would be your deficit, let's say, okay, you should, if we're calculating your BMR, how much you're moving, you should be able to lose weight on 1,800 calories. But if your body has adapted to being at 1,500 calories and then 2,000 and then 1,200, then you're not going to be able to lose weight at that 1,800, and so you continue to drop your calories down, and then you end up having other issues with your hormones and your cortisol. And so that's why it can be a really powerful tool just for health and maintenance, but also if you've been struggling to lose fat for a really long time and have not been able to see results.
Mhm.
And something I just kind of wanted to add, and what we see a lot, especially in this like functional wellness space, is that there are a lot of people with more chronic symptoms, and those people are typically a lot more strict on themselves with their food intake. It kind of feels like a controllable that they can, you know, give themselves to manage symptoms sometimes. And with that, a lot we will see chronic undereating just because sometimes it's very limited what you actually can eat without having a flare or feeling like crap or whatever. And so, what this does over time is really like messes with our body's ability to heal overall. So, even if there isn't necessarily a weight loss goal, a reverse diet is something that can be really, really impactful on a healing journey as well.
Yeah, and I think I'll give my metabolism spiel because it really, really helps understand why it's so important to eat enough because your metabolism doesn't like when people say, "Oh, I have a slow metabolism," it's pretty much assumed that I don't know, your metabolism just like doesn't need calories anymore and you just eat less calories. But what's happening is like your metabolism has so many different jobs. Like it's responsible for so many things in our body that, and a lot of them we don't even think about on a daily basis. So we'll say your metabolism has like 100 jobs, and some of those jobs are essential for life. You need it or you will die. And then some of those are just really nice bonuses. And so if your metabolism has 100 jobs, it's just like anything else that has a job. It needs fuel or energy or something to be able to do all of those jobs. It's not just doing it from nothing. And what gives and fuels your metabolism is food, is calories. And so when your metabolism doesn't get enough food or enough calories and energy and it can't do all of its jobs, it's never going to shut off or do it's not gonna do, like, 10% of all of its jobs, right? Because it can't like, some of its top priority jobs are pumping blood to your heart, to your brain, like, regulating your body temperature, and so if it just was like, "Oh, I'm only gonna pump, like, 10% of blood to Lacey's brain because she's only eating 1,500 calories and I can't do the full job," it's not gonna do that, thank God, or we would die. It's going to just shut off those lower priority, not necessary for survival jobs, which are clear skin, healthy hormones, healthy hair, healthy periods, great digestion, like no bloating, all of those things that it's like we don't need those to survive, right? Like so many of us are bloated and with skin issues and stuff and we're still alive, and so it's going to shut off those jobs because they're low priority, and it's going to focus all of the energy that you are giving it on those top priority jobs. And so when you're not eating enough, especially over time, the reason that your metabolism down regulates or slows down, or when people say that, it's because now your metabolism only does need 1,500 calories because it's not even trying to do those jobs anymore. It's just turned them off. So when people say, "Oh, I have a slow metabolism," they mean that over time their metabolism has adapted, turned off those jobs, and so now it can survive off of just those 1,500 calories. And then it's why, okay, if you're used to eating 1,500 calories and then you go away for a weekend and you're maybe drinking more, you're eating out and you're eating now 2,000 calories, it's why those people will gain weight where other people can eat 2,000 calories every single day and not gain weight. It's because their jobs are all turned on and their metabolism is utilizing it. And it's not thinking like, oh, this is just a special treat and she's usually starving. We never have this enough energy. So instead of like, oh, I'm going to do all of my jobs for these 3 days, your metabolism just thinks, oh, I'm going to use this extra energy and store it as fat because we're probably going to need it because I do not trust her to eat enough regularly. And so when we reverse diet, it kind of allows your metabolism to trust you again. And it will slowly start, as you start feeding it slowly every day, more and more and more. It's going to be like, okay, I trust her. Like she's giving me enough food. I'm going to start like turning on some hormones again and like working properly. And like maybe she's not bloated after everything that she eats. And I think, like Kira said, a lot of us that have these chronic symptoms, we are often the undereaters because we get so bloated or we're more likely to store body fat or whatever. So we kind of develop this lifestyle where we do undereat, right? Or those people who are overweight, or maybe you're even one and you're eating 1 or 2 meals a day and you're like, how am I supposed to lose weight? I can't possibly lose it. No, what you need to do is focus on rebuilding your metabolism up, do a reverse diet, get all your jobs turned back on, and then we can go into calorie deficit. So that just really helped me because I was definitely someone who underate for years, like years, years, years. And I was so scared, even after coaching like 500 women over eating more food. Like I was just terrified of increasing my calories. But once I realized it's like your body needs that. And like a huge one is bloating, right? Like we all think, oh, I'm eating nothing. Like I'm eating salads all day and I still get so bloated, or I eat next to nothing, or I eat super clean and I'm still bloated. It's because your body doesn't even have enough energy to digest your food properly, which takes it. So, anyways, that explanation was really what helped me finally just commit to a reverse diet and go through with it and never looked back, baby. So,
Yeah, and I have, I guess, kind of a question. I'll say I'm definitely like the least knowledgeable on this topic. It's something Lacey and Jensen have taught me a lot about over the years, but it can sound really scary. Like what Lacey said, like, oh my God, I have to eat more. What are you talking about? But like we always kind of say the like good things take time, of course, but is it does it make sense to say that like as we increase our metabolism and then turn these jobs on, good digestion, like our livers detoxifying, whatever, are we not burning more calories just by doing those things as well?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the point, right? Because then your body so right now just doing the bare minimum and we always use the example, it's like you do burn calories when you're just sitting in bed all day. If you did nothing, like most women burn anywhere from 12 to 1500 calories just by laying in bed. And so that's all of those essential jobs that your metabolism is doing without even thinking about it. And then yeah, if you eat 1600 calories, then your body's like, "Okay, I'm going to do this on top of that or whatever." So yeah, you do end up burning more. That's when people say like I have a fast metabolism. It's just because their body is like working properly pretty much in like a
Yeah.
very general concept. It's not actually what's happening, but
And that's why we wanna do it slowly is because if you add these calories on slowly, it's not gonna be enough to put us into a surplus where it's kind of like a shock, and that's how we do fat loss, is we drop calories quicker typically if you're in like a fat loss phase. So your body isn't necessarily having that like metabolic adaptation to that lower amount of calories and slowly shutting off those jobs. You're just in that deficit, which means you're still burning that amount of calories, but now you're not consuming that many. So that's how you do the fat loss. And same thing if you were to just add that amount of calories on without prepping your body to go from that 15 to 2000 calorie mark, then your body isn't adapting and it's not using those calories for those jobs. It's just, once again, like Lacey said, being stored as fat. And so, what we do is we slowly add on food so your body can have that amount of calories where it's not enough to like gain fat. It starts to turn on those jobs. Okay, we've increased our food 100 calories, weight hasn't changed. Maybe we even feel a little bit slimmer because we're actually digesting food. Let's add a little bit more food in and working our way up to that, whatever your should
yeah.
be maintenance is, which is different for so many people.
Yeah. And I think even Kira, like a good way to think about it for you is like that's why a lot of people will lose weight in a reverse diet because their body's like, finally, I can do these jobs. And then you also like have more energy. So you end up just moving more throughout your day or like a huge, not a huge percent. I think it's like 10% of the calories that we burn in a day are even just from like hand talking and stuff. And as soon as you start under eating, you don't even notice, but you stop doing things as much like moving your body. And so that's, we always say because even though Jensen said, like, you're not as likely to gain fat when you do it in a slow controlled way. Definitely disclaimer, very normal to gain a couple pounds during a reverse diet. So I don't want people to come for us because we definitely have clients who gain weight. I always say there's three possible outcomes and everyone is different. And a lot of it has to depend with just your current lifestyle. If you're pretty sedentary and just what you've kind of been doing, and also how long you've been under eating and how much of a deficit you were under eating in. Like, were you eating 1200 calories a day versus me, I was someone who underate, but I was eating like 1,700 calories a day, which was still significant, but it's gonna be different. It's different for everyone. So pretty much 3 outcomes. You could gain weight anywhere from like, I don't know, 2 to 10 pounds we've probably seen in a reverse diet. Um, Middle case scenarios, you don't gain, you don't lose, you feel better, you have way more energy, your skin clears up, everything like that. And then best case is a lot of women will lose weight in that process because again, like we said, a lot of the women who are with these issues are pretty active. They eat pretty good. Like it's they're doing all these things and as soon as your body just starts getting more food, it's like, "Huh, finally, like I can
Yeah.
do my
Also,
job."
though,
So,
a lot of women do, but another disclaimer, don't get your hopes up that it's going to happen because I think as soon as women hear that, they're like, oh, well, I'm going to start eating more and I'm going to lose weight. And that, I would say, it's, like, more on the rare side, and it's really those people that haven't been under eating, like, well, maybe it can be, but it just is so dependent
it just
on
depends.
the person. And, like, another, to add on to kinda what Lacey said, because yes, some people, like, if you have a low body fat percentage, you need to gain fat. That will happen sometimes, but sometimes the scale will go up, but it's actually your composition improving because you've never been eating enough to actually gain muscle and change your composition. And you, once again, are like, you're consuming more carbs. When we eat more carbs, there the glucose is pulling more water into our muscle, which can cause us to appear leaner, but the scale will go up. And so sometimes it is fat, sometimes it's water, sometimes it's muscle, sometimes it's all three. So
Yeah.
that's just something to think
And
about.
there's just no guarantee in anything. So don't do it with the goal of losing weight.
Yeah.
Do it with the goal of improving your entire health and reaching an optimal level of health so your body is ready to easily lose fat.
Yep,
Yeah.
Boom.
love
Boom.
that.
um,
And I think a cool thing to add on to that is, like, fat loss is very low on the food chain of healing, and people kinda come to us a lot with it being, like, their top goal, but they've been, like, constipated for 15 years, and they have skin issues, and, like, we wanna get our body to a place of homeostasis, and during all of that work, you're likely gonna see all of those symptoms kinda clear up and move away, and then, like Lacey said, then you'll be in this, like, perfect place where we can just manipulate a few things and watch the weight fall off easily for the first time. It's
yes.
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So
But
that's kind of what it is. And I would say why we do it. Do we want to go into like signs you probably need to do it? Or did we kind of cover
yeah,
that a little? Okay.
we kind of like sprinkled it in there, but I think it's maybe good to just rapid
Yeah.
fire or even things that we look for of like how we know a client needs to do it. And it's funny because one of my favorite questions that I ask on calls with clients who are thinking about potentially joining our program is I always say, like, you don't need to know the right answer to this. I'm more so just curious what you think. Do you feel like most days you undereat, overeat, or eat the right amount? And then they'll just give their answer, and they're almost always right if they actually answer truthfully and honestly, which I feel like we do attract women who are in an honest place. I don't think we get a lot of fabricators. And so one, you know if you're under eating. If you and I was even talking to this lady yesterday, she's like, "Yeah, I was just thinking because I think I probably cook 6 meals for my kid, and I probably eat 1 a day." And I'm like, "Yeah, like, that's insane." So anyways, you know if you're under eating. Um, but that's always kind of the first thing I look for. I'm like, "Hey, if you think you're under eating, you probably are. So we'll probably need to do a reverse diet, and I'll take a little bit of time to explain it." But I honestly think if you're dealing with a lot of these chronic symptoms that we've talked about, if you're always bloated, if your skin's a mess, if your hair is fragile, if your nails are super brittle, like the easiest thing to kind of look at and the first thing to focus on because it is so foundational is, are you eating enough calories? And so it's just good to like track your food for a week and kind of see where your calories are because a lot of these symptoms that come from under eating are just like linked to so many things that there's never going to be a guarantee, and they could be, you could be under eating, you could be overeating, whatever. But it's like that's what if your metabolism doesn't have calories, it's not going to do its jobs. It doesn't matter what else you're doing. And so it's so foundational. But yeah, so if you know you're under eating, you probably need to do a reverse diet. That's sign number one. What's some other ones? Like if you don't respond to a calorie deficit, that
Yeah.
makes sense, right? Like if you're trying to lose fat and you went online and you figured out how much calories you need to be eating and it's just not happening, there's probably a chance that your metabolism is kind of functioning off those 1,000, 1,500 calories and you need to do a reverse diet. What else, Jeb?
I was just going to say that if you don't respond to like any kind of deficit or meal plan that you've tried in the past and that situation, also if you've gained and lost the same weight for a long period of time, that's a good one. And just hearing you say that thing about the lady that eats one meal and cooks her kid 6, if you're eating like approximately same amount as your toddler, which we hear a lot, that's probably a really good sign that you probably are going to need one.
It's often less, like, people are literally like, "I get up, I have my coffee, I make my kid this breakfast, and then I eat, like, the piece of toast that they didn't eat and
The
finish their
crust.
yogurt." And
The
you're like,
crust.
"What?
Oh,
Okay." And then I, like, make them this big one, yeah, it's so funny. But another one that I've noticed just over time with my clients is how tied to our mental health it is, and this especially having kids, it can feel, and I post about this all the time, like, Your I literally said your kids will annoy you less this summer if you actually eat more than them. So if you're finding yourself constantly short with your family and you can't handle these, like, situations and just the day-to-day life of, like, your kids, you probably need to introduce more food.
Yeah, because we've all been hangry and we all know what that feeling is when we're just a little bit cranky, a little bit on edge. And yeah, no, that's a good one. Jeb, are you going to add something?
No, just the hangry part, it's
Yeah.
definitely, like, a thing.
And so other ways, like even the way that this kind of reverse diet came about was bodybuilding. So if you were on a diet and you everything was good and you lost the weight and now you're eating 1600 calories, pretty low calorie, you're feeling hungry, the goal and the reason why so many people gain the weight back is because they don't know what to do after the diet, right? And a lot of people either go back to the way that they used to eat, which is now going to put you in a huge surplus and you're going to gain the weight back, or they keep under eating. And then over time, your body responds to that and it downregulates your metabolism. And now, anytime, it's those people who they say, oh, I just look at a piece of bread and I gain 5 pounds, or oh, I go on a vacation and I blow up. It's like those are the people that are usually kind of walking that line of like, you're
Line.
probably under eating. And I say that from personal experience because literally used to be me. And now every time I go on vacation, I usually lose weight because I'm kind of in that little bit of a deficit because I'm not, okay, I don't have my four perfect meals exactly curated how I want. And so those are kind of some signs. But yeah, if you've been on a diet and you lost your weight and you reach your goal weight, great time to reverse diet. Or if
And
you're just someone who's been,
necessary, I would
pardon?
say. I would just
Yeah.
say, like, it's necessary. Like, if you have gone through a fat loss phase, that's how we kinda say we like to end everyone off if they are doing fat loss with us, end them off with a reverse diet and then transition into intuitive eating. So, it's best of both worlds. You've got to your end goal. You're now in a good place metabolically after you're putting your body through a deficit, and then now you can transition to intuitive eating because your body is at a higher caloric maintenance, so you can have that flexibility as you make that transition.
Yeah. So that's why you see all those girls who can like maintain weight and they're eating like 2000 calories and you're just like, I can't imagine eating that much. But they've probably done the work to get their metabolism back up after their fat loss phase. And then that's how you'll maintain it for life because it's just not realistic to eat 1500, 1600 calories forever. So yeah, it's not a good idea. It's necessary, actually. I take that back. Um,
And it's
or
probably gotten a lot of people into pretty dire situations with their health in the long run. Like a lot of the women that we work with that are, like going into menopause have literally just been crash dieting since they were like, some of them like 12 years old, honestly, and never ever once done a reverse, which is what's bringing your body back up to that homeostasis, the place where we can heal, the place where we have optimal health, and the place where we thrive. And for women, especially when we have so many huge hormonal shifts in our life where it's like puberty, motherhood, menopause, these are massive. And if we navigate these from a place of like poor metabolic function, it's just so detrimental to our health overall. So I think this is like wild that this is not talked about.
I
Especially with the
know.
diet industry being, like, multi-billion dollar industry at this point, like, I guess they want people coming back. That makes
That's what I was
sense.
just gonna say. They make way more money when we have to keep dieting our whole entire life, and so that's why it's, like, designed. Because the people I can't remember what the statistic is, but it's like 80% of people or 90% of people that lose fat gain it back. That is insane. So losing fat isn't hard. Lots of us, we've all kinda done it, but no one has been able to maintain it, and it's because we haven't learned about this reverse dieting thing, and it was a bodybuilding thing, and I think as, like, social media became more of a thing and their online coaching became more of a thing, that it is a little bit more well known now, but yeah, no, the dieting interest industry is only gonna make billions of dollars every year if we stay fat, so
Yeah,
that's how
Jenny
they.
Craig isn't putting you through a reverse diet, I'll just
No.
say that.
Oh, Jenny.
Oh, Jenny. Crazy girl.
But yeah, so lots of different reasoning, that you might need a reverse diet, but again, like I say, if you need one.
Yeah. Listen
Yeah, but
to
you're
your
probably in
intuition.
denial a little bit, and
Yeah.
that's okay because 'cause we've all been there,
Which is
but
fine. I was in denial for so long, and I always use this example because I coach probably 500 women through a reverse diet every single week, convincing them, telling them how good it was. I'm like, just trust the process. You're never going to regret it. Seeing their journey, seeing them get the results, seeing them maintain an easy weight, eating 2,200 calories, and I couldn't do it still. Took me 2.5 years of coaching before I was like, okay, I'm ready. So I like get and I feel you how scary it is because our whole entire life, society has done such a great job of, building this whole thing around health means eat less, move more, and there's nothing more to it. And we've just all followed that. And it just seems so scary to eat more. And we're all so scared of gaining weight. But it's just like with a reverse diet, because there is that possibility of gaining weight, you really have to just future cast yourself. I don't know, focus on the future. Remind yourself, ask yourself where you want to be in a year, 2 years, 5 years, and stop focusing about maybe gaining 5 pounds in the process when you're going to dramatically change your health. So it's necessary and we need to do it. And we get that it's scary. Trust me more so than anyone. Like I didn't have a period for 3 years because I was not eating enough to have a freaking period. And I was a coach. I still didn't do it. So I get it. But best decision ever. Don't regret.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe something I
So,
like to talk about too is like what to kind of expect, what it can like feel like, what can happen on the
That's a
yeah,
reverse
good
diet.
idea.
because I think most things we notice right away in our clients are like, what, more energy? Like, that's the first thing. Energy doesn't come out of thin air, you guys. And so, calories at a cellular level or molecular level, I don't even know, at whatever level, is calories equals energy. That's what
Mhm.
a calorie is. It's quite literally energy. So, if you start eating more, you're probably going to have more energy.
And poop,
More
Yep.
poop.
and
And
you
poop.
can expect lots of poop, and
But I
but
love too,
actually you
like,
can,
yeah, you hopefully like,
hopefully.
but I love too, like seeing some people who've been chronically under eating and without even going into a reverse, they just start like our plan where they're like mindfully eating more balanced meals and eating
Mhm.
more food and how it like changes their mindset and their capacity for life, I think is like one of my favorite things to see. They're just like, I had a conversation with my husband. This is my client today about my mental health that I've never even had the capacity to have with him before because I was so fragile. And that is literally just from eating enough food.
Mhm.
And like, just think about that for a second. Like, to have so much inner turmoil that you can't even like speak to someone you love about it because you don't have the capacity, the ability, the stable mind to do it.
Yeah.
She's literally been eating enough food for 6 weeks and then she's like, "Does it?" I was like, "What? I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane."
It's
That's
just
so cool.
crazy, and it's honestly sad thinking about
Yeah.
how we have this belief that just literally does not serve us at all, and we all have it, like, so especially our generation, the generation before us, and the generation after us, like, we're caught in the thick of it, of diet culture, and yeah, it is sad. It's crazy, but
But
the
I feel like we're slowly, like, starting like, things are starting to shift. I don't know, sometimes I see some TikToks and I'm like, "Are we going backwards?" But I
yeah, it's
think
hard to know
things
if
are
we're in our
starting to
own little
shift.
world.
I know, I have no clue, but another one I would say, this is another positive one, we will talk about maybe some more of the mentally challenging ones as well, but, Lacey mentioned this a little bit at the beginning, is hair, skin, and nails. For me, the biggest thing I learned after stopping restricting myself for so long was my hair. My hair would never grow past a certain point. It was so fine. Like that is how everyone, oh, Jensen just has fine hair. Jensen, like my hair doesn't grow. And when I started eating more, and this was at the very beginning, this wasn't even involved in a reverse diet. It's just like my hair actually grows. It's thick. I don't get like random people telling me that I have fine hair all the time. And so I think that which just don't do that to people, but I think that's a huge one, and nails, I took a longer for me to notice, but I'm really noticing it now, and I don't know if it's just my minerals, but a lot of people also say, like, their nails aren't breaking. as often. So that's kind of a nice thing
Yeah,
to look
I think
forward
that's
to.
just nails are probably, like, even lower on the prior, right? Because it's like we
Yeah.
really don't need strong nails for anything besides, like, looking good, but
Yeah.
I think even too what you said, it's like even though, yes, food helps our metabolism and gives us energy and stuff, by eating more food naturally, you're gonna get more vitamins in, you're gonna get more minerals in, you're gonna eat more protein,
Yeah.
hopefully, which are like that's how your hair grows is from protein. Like you can't grow
Yeah.
your hair if you're not eating enough protein. And so just by default, because yeah, it's not just all about the energy. It's like by eating more, hopefully, if you're making good decisions, you will also be eating more vitamins, more minerals, which do serve a whole bunch of stuff in our body. So
Yeah, and a cool one for me, which you guys are gonna be like, "Oh, duh, I can't believe you haven't mentioned this," but, like, the way that my workouts changed and my, like, ability to perform it like, I'm not a big, like, weightlifter or, like, it's
you
just
haven't
kind of
been lifting for 15 years?
well, I'm trying to think now because pretty much before I moved to Lloyd, I started, like so I'm at, like, 13, a long time not, like, hardcore, but it just, like, changed the way that I could work out, like, I thought it was just
Mhm.
normal that I was like, "Oh, I can only do 5-pound curls and, like, 8 of them because 'cause I'm a girl and I'm weak." But it's like, "No, you're not getting enough freaking food in," and, like, the way that I could do more of that progressive overload and see the changes in my body was, like, instant. I will never forget that, like, my first reverse-ish that I did. I was like, "Am I strong? I'm not just, like, a
Uh,
scrawny little wimp. This is awesome."
it's like the best feeling ever. It's so, like, empowering as a woman. It's actually just so cool. But yeah, I can't believe I haven't said that yet. Good job. Um, mentally challenging parts, and I feel like Lacey will be able to speak on this a little bit more, but just from us talking with our clients, because trust us, like, it's hard for our clients and there's a lot of, like, communication back and forth, as not for everyone, because everyone responds differently, kind of like we said at the beginning, but there are people that they just it takes a really long time to, like, increase their food, and it can feel very counterintuitive because you're coming to, like, lose fat or even just, like, maybe see progress or your skin, and now you're, like, being told to eat more when all you've been told and all you've told yourself for your whole life is that you need to eat less. So it can feel very challenging to see that, like, future, like Lacey said, and see yourself 2, 3, 4 years down the road when all we've been searching for is that instant gratification in every single thing that we do when it comes to our health. And so it can be challenging, and that's where you really have to, like, lean on, like, journaling and getting very clear on what you want for your life and not just what you want in terms of the next 6 months. So that's something I'm sure you guys can both add to.
Yeah. No, it's definitely important. And it's even like to go in with that is like usually the women who do have to take it slower, who do experience the weight gain, it's because they were under eating for longer periods of time. It's usually our like a little bit older clients. They've been under eating for the last 30 years. And so it's just that much harder for them as well because they've had that mindset for just that much longer and their body is in that much more of a deficit than and depletion state. And so it's usually kind of linked, which does make it hard to, like, wrap your head around that when you've been holding this belief that now you're realizing hasn't served you, and even just the fact of, like, having to admit that to yourself is hard, you know what I mean? Like, I think even that no one wants to say, like, "Oh, I've been depriving my body and it can't even do these jobs anymore." Like, that's just, like, hard to even come to say, and so being able to admit that and then, like, commit to this journey where we're all so scared of gaining weight. It's like the last thing any of us wants. That is like it could happen and we just have like it's so mentally hard. And so that's why 100% I would do it with someone, hire a coach because
Mhm.
they it's like we always say it's kinda like goes back and forth. Our clients will have a good week, and we won't need to, like, give them the talk, and then the next week, they'll be like, I can't do this," and then we have to, like, constantly just reassure them, but it's just so nice to have that external accountability doing something like this, especially for the first time, because you can just kinda remove yourself, and you don't have to think about it, and as long as you trust the person you're working with, and you trust the process, you will get there, but you like I said, you have to remind yourself where you wanna be in a couple of years because there
Mhm.
is no guarantee and you might gain weight, but
Well,
It's
and some
like, yeah,
oh,
drop
sorry,
your
go
ego.
ahead. I was just gonna say, some people even say, and I wouldn't say we always follow this, but for every year that you are in a deficit and restricting, you should be reversing and not even like increasing your food. You're at your increase and now you're at the maintenance, which we'll talk about is for sure the hardest part of it all. And so for every year you're in a deficit, you should be in a maintenance for that amount of months. So if you've been like restricting, I should say, not even deficit, just restricting. If you've been restricting for the past 30 years, technically it should be a 30-month process. And we're not saying it's going to take you 30 months. Like, I don't think we've ever had that long. And we always try to do it as effectively and efficiently as possible. And that's why it's best to work with a coach, no matter who it is. But it's going to be a long process. And that's a really, like, I understand why it's so hard because it's like, if it's hard for us to do a reverse and we haven't been under eating that long and we haven't had that shoved down our throats our whole entire lives like our parents have. Like, imagine having to do that at like 55 years old. Like, that would be so, so hard. And now you have these like young girls telling you to eat more food. I'd be like, fuck you. Like, I'd be like, I get it. I understand why it's so annoying and hard, but trust me, it works. We've seen it work
Yeah.
over and over again.
And I think another cool thing that what I always notice comes out of the reverse is, like, the mindset resilience that you get to develop on
Mhm.
this journey is, like, I don't think there's anything else that does that because for women, we've been so I don't know, trained, brainwashed that, like, we need to be smaller and take up less space, and, like, that's where our value lies, and so to spend some time, like, maybe taking up a little more space and caring about how you feel on the inside more than how you look on the outside is so empowering if you can kinda let it be, but it's hard because it's like the odds are kinda stacked against us in society and what we're supposed to care about, and even this is, like, postpartum and, like, nursing, there's always, like, this bounce back culture, and it's like,
Yeah.
"You're supposed to be feeding a baby." Like, what? What's happening? So they're just it's just so deeply ingrained, and I think if you can kind of turn it into, like, a little mindset piece of your journey instead of maybe, like, a looks part of your journey, it can be like, the growth
Super
that can happen
empowering.
there is just like nothing else I've ever seen, honestly. My
Yeah.
clients that make it through are just, like, this resilient boss after, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No,
so
I
cool.
love that. And even just to add on, like what Jensen was saying about how for the people that have been dieting or under eating for longer, like our parents, and it's just that much harder of a mental switch. Like, again, going back to understanding our metabolism, you have to kind of put yourself in its shoes, right? And so if you were restricting calories for 30 years and it couldn't turn those jobs back on, and it was like, she is surrounded by nothing but fields and there is no food in sight. Like, she is so deprived, like, oh, I'm just doing my best to protect her, to keep her alive. And then you eat enough food for 2 months and you think your metabolism in your body is just gonna be like 2 months of consistency after 40 years and we must be safe now. No, your body's like, "Ah, like, when's it gonna come back? Like, when's another field gonna happen where we're not gonna get food for," like, it, you have to like regain that trust. And so again, that's not like a scientific explanation, but it will help you understand and get bought into the
Yeah.
process. And there is going to be so many amazing benefits and other impacts. But yeah, like Kara said, it just kind of forces you to focus on those other positives and and just remove yourself from being so obsessed with the scale. And what I like to tell people too is just, I lost my train of thought.
Something about the scale, taking the scale out, adding the scale. Why are we obsessed with the scale?
The scale. No. Oh, this is what it was, is what you have been doing has got you to this point that you're at. So, if everything that you're doing was the right way and it was serving you and it was positive, then why are you overweight and bloated and constipated and your skin's a mess and your hair's a mess? And it's like, and you just want to keep doing what you're doing because, like, that just makes no sense. You have to also ask yourself that. It's like, okay, well, what I've been doing hasn't been working. And now these three girls are telling me to do something completely different. And I want to fight it with every ounce of my body. But, like, well, if I really zoom out, it kind of makes sense because if I want opposite results from where I'm currently at, I should probably try an opposite approach. right? So it's just like it seems obvious, but it's not. But anyways, I digress. So, should we go into how to do a reverse diet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So,
So, step number
well, listen
1.
to the nutrition episode that we I think would have come out the week before this one, or 2 weeks before. And that's gonna kind of tell you, like, we kinda go over, like, your maintenance calories because we could sit here and say go on www.maintenancecalorie.com, but everyone is so different and what you've been eating leading up to it and your whole life, like, there's so many different factors, and there's just truly no way for us to just look at you, look at your age, your activity, your weight, and say, "Eat this amount." So, what you wanna figure out to start off with is just how much food you're eating, and that is going to require honest tracking, not, "Oh, I'm tracking my food now, so I'm going to start eating healthy," is just really trying to be super honest, putting your calories into MyFitnessPal, or there's another one that's really good for looking at, like, vitamins and minerals, Curity.
Chronometer, I
Yeah,
think.
that's another good one, and that will kind of do that for a couple weeks and see where your maintenance calories kind of lie. There is another approach where you can kind of start at a certain amount of calories. And if you notice you're gaining, then you are probably in a little bit of a surplus and you want to start lower. If you notice you're losing, you're probably in a deficit. If you notice you are staying the same, that is probably your maintenance calories. And from there, you can kind of adjust. So I'd say that's step one.
Yeah. Figure out how much you're eating. And then it's really not complicated from there. You kinda like how I do it, I will say with clients, because everyone does it a little bit different. Um, is I try to increase like 100 calories per week if your weight stays the same or goes down. So, weigh yourself and you know how much you're eating and just add an additional 100 calories. Like just add a piece of fruit that you wouldn't normally eat. Like you don't need to overthink it. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. Just like add 100 calories or so. And then if you weigh yourself the next week and if your weight is the same or it's down, I would add another 100 calories. And some people add 50 calories, some people add 200 calories. Everyone is a little bit different in that, but I just found with because we don't wanna do the reverse diet too slow, and I don't think we'll even go into that, but you do wanna get back up to maintenance calories. You want to get to that point where your body has is doing all of its jobs as quickly as possible, but the slower that you go, the less fat that you're going to gain. So you kinda wanna find that happy medium where we're not going so slow that it's just taking forever, but I kinda like to do the 100-calorie mark. I think it's easy for a lot of us to just track 100 calories. There's lots of 100-calorie snacks out there, whatever. So just add 100 calories in. If your weight shoots up, just stay the same. Stay at those calories that you're currently eating for another week. And then that week, if your weight is the same as the previous week, so maybe you're still up a pound from your starting weight, but it's the same, or maybe it went back down, increase your calories. If it went up again, keep it at the same. And you pretty much just repeat that process until you're at your true maintenance, which can be everyone's is very different because the amount of calories that we burn in a day is contributed to like the exercise that we do, how much we walk throughout the day, like how much we move our hands. So it's like it's very hard to use any calculator and be like, that's my maintenance. I know this for sure. But a very general amount for most women is like probably like a 2,000, 2,200 calories, where you should be able to eat that and maintain your weight. So you're not gaining, you're not losing. So that's kind of like the end goal. I think if you were a woman, unless you're like super tall or you have a ton of muscle on you, if you can get your calories to like 2,000 to 2,200, your metabolism is going to be pretty happy.
Mhm.
Um,
And
so I think that's like, I mean, there's not much more to it.
yeah, no, that's like perfect. And I'll just say one thing with the scale is remember you're weighing yourself on if you're weighing yourself on one day, it's so hard because if we weigh ourselves every day, it's a lot more accurate and we can kind of pick up trends. But as we know, that can like sometimes start a little bit of a toxic relationship with the scale. And if that's the case, maybe time to do a little bit of digging there. But sometimes weighing yourself can be good because you really pick up those trends rather than weighing yourself on Monday morning after you had like a birthday party and a wedding over the weekend and drank and you're holding on to water. So just don't freak out if you weigh yourself one day and the scale is like up 2 pounds, it's not from you adding in 100 calories per day. It's probably you're holding on to water, you ate more carbs than you usually do, your sodium intake changed the day before, whatever it might be. If you have like a really ran where you're at in your cycle, if you have a really random jump, I think sometimes when we start it, that can really freak people out. They're like, oh my God, I added in 100 calories and now I'm up 3 pounds. But I can guarantee you, scientifically, that is not enough to gain 3 pounds or even a pound if you're honestly adding in 100 calories. So I just wanted to do a little bit of a spiel on that because it can be a little bit of a mind F. But the next thing I'll say is, and I think Lacey laid that out perfectly, is now once you get to that maintenance calories, you're not in the clear. You have to stay there. And so you may think, "Oh, that's easy. I can get up to 2,000 calories from my, like, 1,500 calories in 5 weeks. That's not hard at all." But this is the hard part that I was talking about is now you've made the changes. It's kind of exciting. You're slowly eating more, and maybe you're feeling better. You have more energy. You're eating more calories, and you're not seeing the scale change. Wow, so exciting. But now you have to stay there because it takes a long time for like we've all been saying, it takes a long time for your body to feel safe. And it takes a long time for that maintenance to really become that true maintenance that we're aiming for. And so it's so different for everyone. Depends on compliance, depends on age, depends on activity level, depends on what your goals are afterwards. But I would say you want to stay there for like a minimum of 8 weeks. I would say is probably, but some people we stay there for 4 months, some people we stay there for 6 months. Like, I don't wanna say 8 weeks and then people expect that because it can sometimes be a lot longer that you might need, but that's kind of the next step.
And something I wanna throw in, this is a beautiful time to, work on truly healing your gut, truly balancing your minerals because you have this beautiful, like, metabolic function and all this fuel in your body that's, like, ready to heal
Yeah.
you. So this is when we love to do, like, our GI maps and our gut protocols with our clients because they have so much fuel on board and their body is just,
Mhm.
like, running well, and then if on top of hitting that reverse diet, you are working on, like, healing your gut, balancing your minerals, detoxification, whatever, then you're done all of it, and then you get to do
Mhm.
a cut, and you're just like, boom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you
Timing
definitely
of our
want.
program is so good, I will say, not to toot our own horn, but because it can be boring, that maintenance. But now that we've added in that, there's so many other things that you can focus on, and I would say we get a lot less fat loss people. We're talking a lot of fat loss today, but if even our people that are trying to, like, heal their gut, we're still most likely putting them through reverse unless they've been really diligent with eating enough leading up to it. But
It's honestly very rare, right? Because it's like the
yeah.
reason everything is messed is because your metabolism didn't have any fuel to do any of those jobs. And so they almost always go hand in hand. And I think that's why the healing journey is just hard too, because everyone's kind of like top goal is fat loss. And then they have all of these symptoms, which is why fat loss has been so hard for them. And it's
Mhm.
like now we have to tell them, like, you have to eat more and we're going to heal all your symptoms. And then after you do, fat loss will be easy, but it's just hard. And I think reverse dieting in general is just hard. It's hard to make the decision you're going to do it. And then it's hard to stay committed throughout the process because even when you're losing fat and you're tracking your calories and you're weighing yourself each week, you get that dopamine hit of the scale going down and you're looking
Yeah.
better and you're like, awesome. But in a reverse diet, not only you're going against everything you've been conditioned to believe about what a woman should look like and eat like and everything, but you also might see the scale go up a little bit and you don't
Mhm.
your body's not like it does change a lot. I would say for people who are doing like their first reverse diet ever, we always see massive difference in body composition and inflammation usually goes down and
Yeah.
everything like that, but it's just not as motivating, and so it's very easy to kinda get off course and, like, overeat and then undereat, and you're kinda going back in old habits and stuff because you just don't take it as seriously, but when we say, "Oh, we're increasing your calories by 100 calories," like, that is a piece of fruit. That is an extra big scoop of peanut butter. Like, it's not much, and so if you're not taking it seriously and you don't think it really matters, you're gonna be much more likely to gain that weight or not get the results that you want or whatever it is. So it is important that you take it seriously. It's like your diet isn't over once you've reached your goal weight. it's over once you've reached your goal weight and then done your reverse diet and been up to maintenance. So I think a lot of us,
Mm,
will crash diet for this thing that we have or this event that we have. And then that's why you always gain it back. And even like you said, Jeb, we've been talking a lot about fat loss, but this is like so important for anyone on any healing journey ever because your body is never, ever going to prioritize healing when you're in a deficit or you're
yeah,
not eating enough. So, yeah, I think it relates to both. It's a hard
totally.
concept. So,
And there
we
are those
feel you
people that
guys,
are
but
overeating. You're probably the person that's overeating if you're eating out a lot and eating a lot of fast. I find those are usually the only ones where they like are is because it's so calorically dense, but then you're also inflamed. But is if you're like eating out at restaurants all the time, you never skip a meal. And when you are eating meals, it's like processed foods are typically when we actually see people like genuinely overeating, or you're restricting all day and binging at night, and that's putting you into that surplus.
mhm. And that's like the worst
Yeah.
restricting and binging because your metabolism, like think of it as a person, it's kind of thinking, okay, we starve for majority of the day and then she has this big feast, but it kind of like starts to associate with you with always being starving and then it sees that feast is like, oh, thank God we came across this feast again. Boom, store it as body fat. It's not going to think, oh. So it's like your body gets used to whatever you give it consistently. So that's just something, but we don't need to go down that rabbit hole because that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, so do a reverse diet, call 1-800-REVERSE if you want us to put through one. Just kidding. It's not an actual number. But it's worth it. You're never gonna regret doing it, and, like, whichever one of us said this, it can be very empowering to kinda, like, take your power back and know that the number on the scale really has nothing to do with it, and once you focus on optimal health, everything else becomes easy, and so if you're fighting your body to lose 1 pound, that's probably a sign that you shouldn't be trying to lose 1 pound, you should be focusing on everything else that's not
Yes.
working properly.
Boom.
Boom.
Slay.
Okay. Well, that's wraps it up,
That's it.
guys. So thanks for hanging out. As always, if you liked the podcast, rate, subscribe, comment, like, share with a friend. You should
Review.
share this one with a friend. Actually, we don't ask you guys to do that a lot, but I think this is something more
Mhm.
women need to hear. So you should share it.
Yeah, I agree.
And have a great day.
And then post it to your story and tag all of us.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And go and touch some grass.
And eat some ass.
Thanks for tuning in to The Wellness Effect. We're so grateful to be part of your wellness journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on Instagram for more tips, laughs, and real talk. We'll put all of our handles in the show notes. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, slide into our DMs or send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep creating your own wellness effect.